Walters from the Purple Raven Boutique here, and welcome back again to one of my Wireworking 101 video shorts. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about making a finding that will come in handy if you are doing a lot of Viking style wire knitting, and that's how to make these end caps. If you've seen my tutorial on how to make a Viking style knitted wire bracelet, you'll be familiar with these little end caps. The purpose of today's video short is to show you how easy it is to make them. The pair that I just showed you is actually made from 18 gauge wire. So in actual fact this might be 16. Oops. My mistake. They're made of 18, this is 16. I grabbed the wrong wire. But this might make it easier for you to see, so we're going to forge on ahead with this. First thing I do is I square up my end, because there's no point in making anything with a pointy, jagged bit hanging off the end. Most wire workers will have a pair of these round nose pliers in their kits. I'm a firm believer in making use of the tools you have whenever possible. When I first started wire working, I used to use my round nose pliers to make my end caps all the time, and I made them with a slight taper for obvious reasons, because what I'm about to do here is wrap the wire around the plier. Okay, now when you turn it over, you can see this bit right here is a little on the flat side. So I use my fingernail because I have fingernails of iron. You can use a butter knife. But now, there we go. We've got a much nicer curve to it. And if you decide, no, I want my cone a little bit longer, well, you just keep wrapping another turn. So now I think that's long enough. And again, you'll notice I'm being careful to orient the flat side of the cutter in the direction where I want the nice smooth finish. But anyway, actually the 16 gauge probably worked out better for demonstration purposes, because with this, the limitations of shooting video with a cell phone, this actually shows up much better than the 18 gauge would have. So a happy accident. But anyway, you can see that it's quite easy to make a cone to finish off a piece of Viking wire knitting using your round nose pliers. The trick to making this work is that the base of your plier here needs to be close to the finished diameter of the Viking wire knitting you're working with. Now, that would probably work. What you'd have to do is when you're finishing off your end, is you need to nip it down, and because it's coiled wire, you can often twist them on. So the whole idea is you want a fairly snug fit anyway. But this way, you can make them yourself. You can have a little bit of 18 or 16 gauge wire on hand, and make them as many and as often as you need. If you are fortunate enough, or if you've already taken the step of investing in a pair of wrap and taps, you can also use these as well. Now obviously I don't have much wire here, but you'll get the gist of the movement here. Once again, you hold it, you nip it with your plier, and you start to wrap. And you don't do what I just did, which is it's important to, oh dear, I mangled that. Let's try another piece. Only goes to show that even those of us who've been doing it for a while sometimes make mistakes. So trying that one more time. It's important with the first wrap, and I'm working really close to the table here, which is part of the problem. You need to make sure that your first two wraps are really close together. See that? Once you've got that, the rest gets easy, because you're just pushing with your thumb as you move the plier around inside the coil. And you can see it's a repetitive movement. I'm going to go right to the end of this just so. There we go. Now we've got a nice chunky bit of coil here. And unless you've got tough nails, don't do what I just did, because you'll probably break your nail. I have nails of steel. So you can see the difference between these two in their shape is a direct result of what we wound the wire around. In this instance, we use this wrap and tap pliers, which have sort of a stepped mandrel jaw, but we wrapped it around this section, which is uniform in diameter. With this pair here, they're tapered. So what we created here was also tapered. Either one works perfectly well for finishing the ends of Viking wire knitting. And now you know how to make them. No fancy tools required. The very basics would be cutters that are heavy enough to cut the wire that you're using, and a pair of round nose pliers where the base is wide enough to create an opening that the Viking wire knit will fit into. Wire Working 101, how to make end caps. Katherine Walters signing off for today.